20th. This is our first safety committee meeting of the year 2021. For the record, in attendance, there's myself, Brian Wolf, the chair of the committee, and councilpersons Tony Benedetti and Mark Bruger, the other members of the committee, as well as Police Chief Delp and Mayor Tiffany Hughes. As far as an agenda goes, what I intend to cover here is there was one item that was a holdover from last year regarding no parking signs from here to corner, that we had some areas identified in the MI development that we were waiting on some sort of communication between, I think, administration and MI to get those posted. And to my eye, I haven't seen them yet. And then the other thing that I wanted to cover today is just a police needs and wants for 2021. And then maybe, if it's not too much to pull off the top of one's head, even extending further just for awareness. And then anything that anybody else may have that they may want to cover. So Chief Delp, the first question goes back to the no parking from here to corner signs. We had discussed a couple areas in the MI development, and my recollection was that the last update was that you were waiting on Eric Fisher to provide MI with some sort of GIS data so that they knew exactly where to put them. Do we know if there's been any update or progress on that?
All signs are installed as of last week.
Oh, okay. I haven't driven through there in a while because I've been under a COVID stay where the heck I am order. So next time I go through, I will relook. So then the next step in that was I would like for the members of this committee to sort of review the other intersections in the village to see if there are other places we feel like that might be of use. And so this is an ask that I have for the rest of us, and Chief Delp, if you think there are other places that between now and the next safety committee meeting, if we can review those and put together a list of where we might also like to put some no parking from here to corner or any other parking restrictions that may be useful. Because I know I have a couple in my mind, but I haven't put it all to paper yet. So if that can be something that we are working on for next month, that would be great. And then, the next agenda item, last year we had talked to you, Chief Delp, about your needs for 2020. And I know 2020 didn't go the way anyone expected it to. So those needs, I'm sure, changed. Here we are in 2021 and looking forward to the next 11 and a half months that we got left in it. So I wanted to look to you and see what your needs and wants are from an awareness perspective for council so that we can support you effectively.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Wolf. So you guys just saw the increase for the cost for dispatch. All of you hopefully got something sent to you, at least a copy of it so you could look at it. That went throughout the county. Looks like everybody caught that. And it's just basically increasing the cost of dispatch and the dispatch center. The county uses a reporting system called the Portal. I don't know if that's the actual name of the program or it's just the nickname that the police departments have given it. We don't use it. We didn't sign up for it. We use the free system from the state for our reporting system. But it does have some interoperability things that was kind of nice. But it was just, it cost money, and it was like, we have a free thing that does the same thing, why bother? They are going to put that to bed. It's being held together by duct tape and chewing gum, and they are going to put in a new system, and I think that's supposed to roll out in 2021. I would anticipate that with a rollout of that new system, because it does have the It's going to be, it'll touch all the MDTs within the county. We use their dispatch and their computer-aided dispatch for our MDTs. So when the call comes in, it's typed in the computer, it gets sent over to the dispatcher. Dispatcher tells us where to go, and that information pops up on our screen. County IT installs that. County IT maintains that, and they, if it doesn't work, or if there's something wrong with it, they fix it for us. That's all part of that $11 that we're now paying per month. So since they're going to go to a new system, I would anticipate that they're probably going to have some kind of an increased cost. I hope not, but we'll see what happens. I doubt that they're going to be able to maintain a new system because I don't know what the licensing is going to cost for that new system, and if that's going to affect us or how that's going to work out. So just be aware that I know it went up this year. That was basically a typical, it seems like about every 2 years it goes up. But I think I just be aware that that probably will happen. They haven't said that's going to happen, but me just knowing the way that things work in the world, that seems like a possibility.
Sure. It looked like, and I'd have to go back and look. I thought that the agreement that we're signing had the price set until the end of 2022, but we should probably just be expecting. And I was trying to go back to my email to confirm that. But
maybe that's the purpose of that increase, was because of the anticipated switch over next year. So
yeah, and it could also, we probably just should be ready for another one come
2022.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. So we are aware of the sort of the cadence of the dispatch pricing or costing. Is there anything else? I think last year we were there was some discussion as schools come online, the two new schools, some staffing needs. I don't know if that obviously the schools are still on the horizon, so I assume that's still on the horizon.
Yeah, as far as a school resource officer, we'll offer our services to Westerville schools. The district office is located in Westerville. They may choose Westerville Police to provide that service. There's nothing that says it has to be a jurisdiction, but we'll offer. And if they say, sure, we'll use your SRO, then we can negotiate what that looks like and how much they're willing to give us toward the salary of an officer for that service.
Right.
But it's kind of in their hands as far as if they decide to choose to use us. I think it'd probably be, I think we could sell a pretty good package. So just because we're like 1 minute away, the police department is, it's located here. It's in the village. And anything that would arise that would require police presence, it's going to be us going there, not Westerville. So I think there's some good arguments, but once again, it's up to Westerville, and we'll see what they decide to do. If they do, and they choose us, that would be putting an additional officer on the department.
Sure, with some sort of expectation that Westerville's paying for some or all of that. So
yeah, the school system, but they usually they tend to put anywhere from like 60-70%. So
yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Very good. Then and I don't have the police vehicle replacement schedule in front of me. Where are we with our current vehicles?
Waiting for, we have an intent to purchase already submitted with Statewide Ford. The once that vehicle is from the factory and they have it in their possession, then they get our vehicle and they swap over the equipment that can be swapped over. Then it goes to striping, and then we get it back.
Okay.
That process typically takes about a week to 2 weeks. we're still on the, 4-year rotation. So we'll see how that goes. If for 2021, we've got this canine program with this drug dog. I'm going to see how it goes. It's not costing us anything. I put the canine in the vehicle that would be traded in 2021.
Okay.
If that vehicle, or if this program works out, my suggestion would be we keep that vehicle as a canine vehicle, and only the canine officer would drive it, and add another vehicle to the fleet. So we basically would be, what we're getting about $7,500 on trade-in. So it'd be a $7,500 increase to the cost of our new car, plus some equipment and things. So that
Right.
would be, but if this program's working and it's self-sustaining, so to speak, because typically any kind of money, vehicles, property, those things that's used in the commission of a felony can be seized by police departments, government jurisdictions, and then we can either put that toward our own use or use any cash that's seized to go toward purchases of equipment, maintaining those vehicles, stuff like that. So it may be self-sustaining, and if it does happen that it is, then my suggestion to council would be, let's keep that vehicle, let him drive it. He won't be putting a ton of miles on it because it'll just be used with one person. And then when it's finally, gets too unsafe to drive, or the maintenance costs start getting up too high, then we'll switch it into the next vehicle that we're trading in that year. And he'll just always get the oldest vehicle.
And so you are talking about, you're talking about civil forfeiture, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have, this is the first I've ever heard of civil forfeiture within the village. So, I mean, do we have any history of civil forfeiture? And
They tried it on me once.
well, but tried implies not successful. So
It didn't work. But I have a question about the dog in general. Is that once the officer's on duty, does he go to Franklin County and say, hey, we have a canine available during my shift, and then if another municipality needs a canine search or whatever, do they call on us to come out? And if we were to go out to let's say we go to Bexley and our dog strikes and finds a car with cocaine in it, and then would we be able to seize that vehicle, or would Bexley get the vehicle?
So what will happen is probably not going to let them go to Bexley. We're going to limit the range of our assistance to our neighboring agencies. So Westerville, Franklin County, which just the east side, our sector 2 here, Blendon, Mifflin, Clinton. The ones that we typically work with, maybe even Columbus, because they're so close right here. Franklin County normally has dogs out, so they're the ones that are running down to Bexley and to those places and doing those assists. So we're anticipating that ours would be more local. So with each of those departments, we would put an MOU in place that if such a seizure would occur, say a BMW, we would get a percentage of the sale of that vehicle. So if they get a BMW, they sell it for 10 grand and we get 20% of that, that'd be $2,000 coming into the law enforcement seizure fund.
All right.
Answer your question?
Yeah.
Same with cash or
I mean,
any other thing that was seized.
Once they're on duty that day or whatever, there's a possibility they get called out somewhere that we've agreed to service or whatever. Because I say that because when they came to my house, it was New Albany. They came with their dog.
Well,
That's where I wonder how many times has that happened in Minerva Park?
So
Yes, did you?
we typically use county canine.
Ah,
Or if there's a county canine on and we have a situation where we want to, we suspect that maybe there's something going on in a car, we would have a county canine come out, or even a Columbus canine. They'll come over and they'll walk around the car. If it hits, then of course there's probable cause to search the vehicle. And the officer that has this canine has been doing drug interdiction for a few years. So that's typically he would know what to look for. And his dog has a 100%
success.
success rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that dog has been, like he hit on a vehicle one time and they searched the vehicle. They couldn't find anything. And he goes, there's gotta be something in here. The dog has never been wrong. They went back in and it was a junked out vehicle, but he ended up going into a McDonald's bag, and in the bottom of the McDonald's bag there was a cylinder of some sort. He pulled it out and there was some methamphetamines in that cylinder. And the driver that said, he goes, wow, I wondered where that went. So so this dog that's going to be working here is very accurate. So we'll see how it goes. If it ends up that our canine officer is running around the rest of the county and not serving the people of Minerva Park, it's in the vehicle that's getting traded in, and we will trade in that vehicle and do away with the program. I mean, I'm not gonna. I like the idea of having the resource available because the neighborhood agencies have helped us out so much. It's kind of nice to give back to them, but I also don't want the program to be abused by their neighborhood agencies. So if they're calling us out all the time just because we have a dog and they just want to do it because it's here, that's not going to work for me. If they have reasonable cause to believe that there might be some narcotics in a vehicle and they want to have a dog sniff it, and those are legitimate uses, I'm okay with that. But I just don't want it to end up a situation where they're just calling us out just to call us out because we have a dog.
That's what to me, it's a potential downside to this.
It's not costing us anything right now. The startup, we've got the cage for free, the dog for free, the training was free, the care for the animals free, the food is free. So there's nothing that's, the only thing that we're paying out is maybe a little bit of overtime for his state required training. But other than that, I mean, it's really very little cost for a lot of return potentially.
It's
So
worth
you-
a try.
In that you had said, we will assess it in 6 months, and if it's successful, can you define what would be successful? That's the other part. That in 6 months when we have this conversation again, was it successful? Are we continuing? I'd like to know now what our parameters are so that we're consistent.
So I guess one of the benchmarks I would be using is drugs seized.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are removing drugs from the street, that's going to be a good thing, and that's going to push toward the positive side of the. That's going to go in the plus column. If we're doing a lot of sniffs on vehicles, but not getting a lot of drug seizures, that's going to go in the minus column. If the officer's staying in the village more than he's out of the village, that's a positive. If he's out of the village more than he's in the village, that's gonna be negative. So, if we get seizures, because those are all civil actions, you can actually, if we have, because a civil action, when you're looking at the it's preponderance of the evidence, so it means 51%. Like that probably happened. And that's that 51%. It's not that proof beyond a reasonable doubt, like that 98, 99, percent that you have to have for criminal cases. So I have seen in the past, in my previous agency, where we have seized property and not gotten convictions. But the seizure is it's a whole separate, it's in a different court and everything. So
And I'm
it's not
glad you brought
required.
I'm glad you brought that up because I am entirely opposed to that. You know, civil forfeiture is something that I think is not something I really get with. I understand it can be a potential revenue stream, which is what we were talking about. But to take assets without a conviction doesn't sit well with me. You know, obviously, what you're describing is fully legal, but not everything that's legal is moral or ethical. And so that I just wanted to take this moment to pause and voice my concern that I would not like that to be a priority with this program, right? So if the program can't be a success without civil forfeiture, I would have my concerns.
Thanks for sharing that, Chairman Wolf.
What was that, Tony? I didn't hear you.
Said thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have not understood why it hasn't been ruled unconstitutional under illegal search and seizure. If I haven't done a crime, I don't know how the government can take my stuff. So,
Well, there would have to be some kind of guidelines for when you can't just see something because they found a joint group.
Well, as the chief has just described, there have been instances where there has been no criminal conviction, yet there is civil forfeiture of assets, right? So we know that because the standard of proof is different, right? It's a civil action versus a criminal action, that civil forfeiture can happen with, as he said, a much lower standard of evidence.
Well, if this happens, I can't wait for that safety committee meeting. That's
Those situations where you have no criminal conviction but a civil forfeiture are kind of rare. But let me throw it out this way. Let's say that you end up arresting a drug courier with $50,000 and a bunch of cocaine, just for an example. We arrest him, charge him with the felonies, the trafficking, all that. We file seizure on the money and the vehicle. Okay. During the course of the criminal process, he turns state's evidence, and we get a prosecution of someone higher on the food chain, or it gets turned over to the high intensity drug trafficking task force, HIDTA, or the DEA. So here in that situation, you would have a person who was not convicted, but yet the civil forfeiture went through.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
There's a lot of scenarios where
Yeah,
guy's dead, wrong, but it got thrown out because of a paperwork issue or something.
Yeah, we're not going out there just to pull over John Smith, who has a joint in his vehicle, and then trying to seize his vehicle because it's only predicated on use of that property, or you can show that property was a direct result of a criminal enterprise. So if someone is a drug dealer and they're dealing a lot of drugs, they don't have a job, and they're driving a $50,000 Mercedes, we can sit there and go, well, you have no job, but you have all these drugs and cash. That's kind of obvious that this is a result of your criminal enterprise. So in those cases, and if, like Councilman Benedetti brought up, there's a processing error, or the evidence gets lost, tainted, whatever happened, and a criminal prosecution falls through, in that case, that civil process would benefit as far as, some kind of a punishment for criminal activity. good. The best example I could think of is if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have legal standards for reasons, and while they're not perfect, they are what they are. Um, I do feel like if this is something that is on the village's radar, as you know, or actually here, no, I'll ask another question. Because again, where I started, my first question with civil forfeiture is I've never heard of the village engaging in civil forfeiture in the past. Tony's the first to have a real life example of an attempt. Have we ever done a civil forfeiture, or have we done any civil forfeiture in the last 5 years?
Well, we've had money seized when we've arrested people and charged them with drug trafficking. Let's say you have someone who has not bulk amount, but they have smaller amounts that are separated up to be sold, and they have amounts of cash with them. I thought we lost somebody there.
No, they're just turned off their cameras.
We have filed for that cash. So there's been times that and that goes into a seizure fund or a trust fund. It depends on which crime was committed as to where that eventually ends up.
So ballpark estimate over the course of a year, what are we talking about as a back of the envelope guess, average over the last 5 years?
Not a lot, but there has been cash seized, but not super big amounts.
Sure. So are we talking
Like
less than $500 on average a year?
We're talking about less than like probably like less than 3,000.
Okay, per a year. That's a lot more than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so as an agenda item for the committee to discuss maybe next year is looking at the villages. You know, should the village have some sort of policy or procedure around when to engage in civil forfeiture? It's a question that we can look at.
That is kind of set by state law.
Well, we can, well, as you have said more than once, that we apply for the forfeiture, right? So we could set a policy as to when we wouldn't or wouldn't apply when it was available to us, right?
Well, we can
Just because
discuss
it's
that. We can discuss that. I don't know if I agree with you, and we may already have one in place.
Yeah,
I'll look into it.
That it would be great for you to look at.
The chief's discretion.
Well, we could also choose to do that, but I feel like part of the idea of a safety committee is to, make certain that we are in line with what I'll say is the ethos of our community. So,
I know
okay.
when this topic came up, I'll never forget. Todd Walters was against it because he was worried that his son's friend would come over and leave something in the house and he'd lose his house.
Yeah, no,
But again, that's part of that whole process. You have to show that stuff was a direct product of the criminal activity. You can't just because somebody has drugs or money in their car, you can't just go seize the car, or you can't seize a house unless you can show that house was paid for either all or in part by the criminal activity, and that showing that is what like if you have drugs and money together, yeah, we're going to seize that money because that's obvious that they're tied together. If you have weapons, stuff like that, all that stuff is going to end up being contraband, and it's going to be seized. But generally, we would go after cash or possibly vehicles if that person is some kind of a drug dealer that has. And again, we just got to look and see if you can show that if it's from that.
Sure.
But no, we're not looking to take houses and stuff like that. That's DEA level stuff. We're not looking to go after the Cosa Nostra.
Sure. I get all that. So we have talked about staffing, the K9 program. What else is on your 2021 radar that that council should be aware of? And what needs do you have that maybe we don't have already on our radar?
Yeah, nothing I could think of off the top of my head at this point.
Okay. Anything in a 5-year look that is big that we should start talking about now?
I would say within that 5-year plan, if we don't get an SRO, there's probably room for one more full-time officer in this village just because of the growth.
Okay.
Trying to keep a couple of us around at all times with people taking vacations. It would also, I think, free me up or future chief up to do and focus on administrative things like 5-year forecasts and things of that
Sure.
nature. Because there's a lot of admin work that has to be done. And right now we're one guy down because Fosnaugh left and we're hiring a new guy. The 25th is his first day to replace Alan Fosnaugh. Just having him down has, put a strain on the department. That's just one person gone. And
Right.
so now we've got people, working different shifts to cover. And it just, it's a struggle. So tomorrow and Friday, I'll be it's just me. And so I'm working the street. And when I'm working the street, patrolling and answering calls, I can't be in here looking into where we'll be in 5 years.
Right. No, I get that. It's a very lean department. And when anything, any staffing issue, quickly becomes a bigger problem. Because if you were to lose 2 in a short time period, we'd be in a bad way in a hurry.
Knock wood, we have been very fortunate with this COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Alan Fosnaugh is the only officer that it was apparently positive but had no symptoms. But he was stuck at home like you guys.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like you get somebody that's off, they're off for at least 10 days to then 14 days if they have symptoms.
Right.
So, it's like they could be off for up to a month, depending on how long their symptoms last. So we've been fortunate, and I chalk it up to these guys following the recommendations, keeping themselves apart, sanitizing our vehicles between shifts. We've been doing, I think, a lot of things right. So we've been lucky, but you're right. If somebody goes down with like, for example, COVID or an injury or any of those things, and we get 2 of those, it comes to that point where, sorry, we're gonna have to cancel your vacation because there's not gonna be anybody here to work.
Right. Yeah. So that is.
Or we're gonna be shelling out a whole lot of overtime.
Yep, and that is definitely something to keep on the radar, and so we can keep a constant look on the financials to see if and when that becomes, as soon as, I would be of the opinion that as soon as that is financially reasonable, we should probably be looking to add that FTE. But as we get closer to the need and as we get to that financial position, we'll have that conversation.
Correct, and I think at some point, regardless, with the SRO, when during the summertime he would be an extra officer, so he would be put on like either a day shift or a second shift, whatever that the need may rise, and would be able to actually patrol and augment the patrol force. The in addition to that SRO, though, I think by 23 or 24, we would definitely want to be looking at that 10th officer.
Yep, that sounds good.
11th, I guess, with the SRO. But if we don't get the SRO, if Westerville decides that they don't want to pursue the SRO with us, and they want to keep it all one department, which I understand that argument because it's easier for them to maintain or manage, and it's what they're used to. I get that, but yeah, then I'd be looking maybe closer to 20, 22, 23 at sometime in that range. But it all depends on where, like you said, the village sets financially.
Mhm.
I know we've got a building out there that we're trying to renovate, build, whatever ends up happening with whichever direction that goes. So we'll just see where we're at financially. I mean, when the money starts coming in from the MI expansion, maybe we'll be better off than we anticipate. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
Absolutely. So then with that, I think that we've talked about immediate needs, what's going on. We've talked about a 5-year forecast. So I just wanted to recap for ongoing. I think the ask that I had of the committee members is to look at intersections in the village for where outside of the MI development might we want to place no parking from here to curb or any other parking restrictions or parking rules we may want to update. And then Chief, I would ask, we had a conversation today about civil forfeiture. If you could look to see if we do currently have a policy on that, that would be, and if we do or don't, just let us know. And if we do, forward the policy to us so that we can review that. I'd ask the other committee members to do a little of your own research on civil forfeiture, because I do think it would be, at the very least, a useful conversation to be have a little more robust of a conversation in our next safety committee meeting around that. And with that, unless anybody else has anything else they wanted to cover today. Oh, Mayor Hughes, you always raise your hand. Okay, yes,
I
ma'am.
learned to stop asking.
I know, quit
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah,
Hey, I was quiet this whole meeting. And
I
trust
know.
me, there was plenty I wanted to
Come on.
say, but I stayed out of it. Okay, so you guys may or may not remember me talking about this at all, but I have brought it up in one meeting about graphics on the police cars. I had talked to Kim last year to budget for new graphics on the cars. We have been working on it. I'm really just trying to give you guys an update. I hate the yellow. Everybody knows I've hated the yellow since I started here day one. We are not the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was actually done by Finstamaker in support of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have no idea why. But at this point, it matches nothing in our village. It has nothing to do with our village. And when we decide to do it, it needs to be when we're doing a new car. And obviously we're getting to that point. So we're not doing 4 cars. If we were to wait till June or July or August or September, obviously we would be doing 4 cars. That would be pointless. Obviously our 4th car is, whatever. So we have been working on it. It has been budgeted. I'm only letting you, it's been on the radar, whether or not you guys remember me bringing it up not too long ago, but we do have it narrowed down to 2 designs. I don't know if you guys have any interest in seeing them. I don't know if anybody has any interest in,
I didn't realize we had a problem.
Oh, they're yellow, Tony. They're yellow. I have a big
Yeah.
problem.
I think Chief looks good in yellow right now.
Yellow is easy to see.
Yes,
right?
it
It
is.
stands
but
out.
I
It's
mean, what's the
horrible.
Chief?
We are-
Is this in it? Who's this? Who's pushing this?
The mayor is.
Okay.
The person talking about it.
So
Andy,
you hate the Steelers that much?
Yeah, no, I don't. Okay, first off, I hated it when they did it to begin with. This is a Chief Newsy and Finstamaker thing from years ago. And, you know, after discussing with officers and just in general, nobody understands why we're yellow, and I don't like
What
it.
was it before? I didn't realize.
even know.
The thing I remember was, the thing I didn't like was that MPPD thing. You know,
Yeah, well, that wasn't us. That was,
I wasn't crazy about, but the colors, I don't care one way or the other. to
Oh,
be
well, we're
honest with
changing
you.
them. I'm just letting
I
you guys
wouldn't want
know.
to change them just because it's yellow.
Oh, I'm
I
changing
would
because
change
of-
it because it was that big MPPD. Now, I
Yeah, no.
wanted to see that go
Yeah,
away.
no.
I like
So-
the big MPPD.
You
We
did, of
have-
course. You know what, Mark? You just picked the devil's advocate side. I think it's.
No, I mean,
Okay, anyways, I'm doing it and we're changing it and it's budgeted and there we go. We have 2 designs. Do you guys want to see them or do you just want
Sure.
to do it?
let's see the 2 designs.
Well, I don't have them with me. I'll send them to you guys tomorrow.
Oh,
all right,
you're ready to
No.
share your screen.
tease.
You guys are you guys think I am way too technological here. No, I can't do that.
I
have
can't
no
do
idea
that
how.
either. So don't.
So I'm going to send those to you, but yes, that is something that I will have in the newsletter, just again to ease the pain for people, because I'm sure that there's going to be some people not happy that we're changing the colors and the graphics and the, you know, whatever. But this is something that we have talked about since one of my first weeks there. But I don't want anybody blaming, you know, the police department for spending money or this or that. I mean,
No, we're going to blame you.
you can't blame me. I'm
It's
merely
on
saying-
record. You
That
said this
said-
was this is your baby.
Yes, not, I mean, again, I have been working with the officers and I did ask them, I said, you know, does everybody hate this? And everybody hates this. I understand it's a little itty bitty thing for people. And, you know, I don't think there's anybody that loves the colors or loves, but just to get a new look, just to get a new everything. Again, all of the officers have kind of given their 2 cents. I'm not going to make this any longer. I'll send those to you guys, just so you guys can see them. I'll send it to all of council. If anybody hates one of them, let us know. But I've been working with Doran and on them, and so this is something that yes, I have been working with the police department to get some new graphic designs and to do all of that, and that is something that like I said, I made sure Kim had it in the budget and everything to make sure that we could get this done.
Right.
I had one more thing for you guys. This has nothing to do with Chief. I know Chief's probably wanting to get out of here, so I'll make this quick. I've also been working with Doran. He has been helping me with a lot of the EMS stuff, getting the EMS truck listed, because there's a different place that we were looking at instead of Gov Deals. It's a place that actually specializes in like ambulances and stuff like this. So he has been helping with that. We are going to have that listed possibly. We got all the paperwork in today. So we are working on that. We've had a couple things sold. We are moving forward with EMS. There is, I'm getting a contact for the fire hydrant flushing and repairs and different things like that. So I have a good contact for somebody that, as we move forward, to determine exactly what we're going to do. So I'm waiting for that information to hit my desk here in the next day or 2. So we have that. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that things are moving. I don't have a lot of detail. We were told that we believe that it's going to sell somewhere between 40, 45, hopefully 50,000. It sounds as if we may list it right around 60, again, just so you guys are aware, but that was kind of the recommendation from the company that is not like does everything Gov. This is somebody that actually does fire trucks, ambulances. So that's that. That is all I have for you guys.
Okay. Thank you for the update, Mayor Hughes. Oh, and Chief has something.
We do have an asset forfeiture policy. I will send that out an email to the 3 of you,
Awesome.
4 of you.
Thank you very much. And with that, then I will thank you all for your time, and we will have probably another one of these meetings next month. Have a great day, everybody. We are
Bye.
adjourned.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.